Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hope stood transfixed in the doorway of the Forrester mansion, her heart hammering as the words echoed in her head. "Deke, do you have a child?" The realization came as a thunderclap, shattering the evening's exquisite peace. Deke, the man she'd known for years, her confidant, friend, and occasionally rival, had a secret so big it threatened to destroy everything. Liam, standing alongside her, was shouting now, his voice a mix of surprise and rage, but Hope scarcely heard it. Her world had shrunk to Deke's remorseful gaze, and the weight of his silence confirmed the impossible reality. The space felt too small, and the air was too heavy. Hope's mind rushed back to every moment she'd shared with Deke. Late-night chats at Forrester Creations, quiet support during her tumultuous divorce, and the way he always seemed to know her better than she did herself. How did she miss this? How could he have kept something so important from me? A child. A living, breathing element of Deke's life that he had hidden away, even from her. "Deke," she asked, her voice shaking, "how could you not tell me?" Deke's jaw tightened, and his broad shoulders slumped under the weight of her stare. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words emerged. Instead, his gaze shifted to Liam, who was pacing with his hands locked into fists. "Deke, this is insane." Liam snapped. "You've been working with us, pretending as if everything is normal, and you have a child out there? Who is it? Where are they?" Hope's heart wrenched as the questions pierced further into the ache of betrayal. She needed answers, but she also wanted to comprehend. Deke was not the sort to keep secrets, especially in this situation. He was steady and dependable, the one who kept things together when everyone else fell apart. Or so she had thought. "I didn't mean for it to come out like this," Deke finally murmured, his voice barely audible above the crackle of the hearth. "I wanted to protect her." Hope's breath caught. "A daughter. Deke has a daughter." Liam stopped pacing, his gaze narrowing. "Protect her from what? Us? Your friends? Your family?" Deke's gaze fell to the floor, and for the first time, Hope saw something she had never seen in him: guilt. It was an odd expression on his face, and it made her stomach churn. She took a step forward, unconsciously reaching out but not touching him. "Deke," she asked softly, "tell me, please." He looked up, the pain in his eyes raw and unprotected. "Her name is Lily," he explained. "She is 6. And she's not well." The word struck Hope like a physical blow. A youngster, a tiny girl, is unwell. Her mind generated images of a small figure in a hospital bed, with tubes and monitors beeping in the background. She pushed a hand to her chest, attempting to control her breathing. "Not well. How?" she inquired, her voice barely above a whisper. Deke raked a hand through his hair, his composure slipping. "She's got leukemia. Diagnosed 2 years ago." Hope's knees buckled, and she slumped onto the nearest couch, her thoughts reeling.
Sarah.
Deke's ex, whom he had just mentioned in passing, represented a brief chapter in his life that he had closed off years ago. Or so he'd made everyone believe. "Is Sarah gone?" she asked, her voice breaking. Deke nodded, his eyes gleaming. "It was a car accident. A year before Lily became ill. I didn't inform anyone because I couldn't. I couldn't talk about it without breaking down. And then Lily became ill, and all I could do was keep her alive." Liam, who had been silent for a moment, shook his head. "That's not an excuse, man. You should have informed us. We could have helped. We are your family." "Are you?" Deke's voice was harsh and cutting through the room. "Because, last I checked, this family has been too preoccupied with its own drama to notice anything else. Do you think I could just drop this on you while you're arguing over Forrester Creations, or who's sleeping with who?" The charge stung, and Hope flinched. He was not mistaken. The Forresters, Spencers, and Logans were a tangled web of love, betrayal, and power conflicts. But Deke had always been on the periphery, the steady hand guiding them through the storm. The thought of carrying this weight alone was overwhelming. "Deke," she replied, her voice firmer now, "I apologize. I am very sad we did not witness it. But you need to let us in right now. You have to let us help. He shook his head, letting out a bitter laugh. Help? I hope you don't get it. Lily's treatment isn't working. The doctors think she has a few months, maybe not fewer. I've spent every cent and every second I could spare trying to save her. And I am failing. The room became silent, the weight of his words devastating. Hope's eyes welled up with tears, and even Liam, who had been so angry minutes before, was distraught. Deke, Liam whispered softly, we can get her to the greatest doctors. We can? No, Deke replied, his voice husky. You cannot solve this. No one can. Hope couldn't sit any longer. She stood and crossed the room to Deke, putting her hand on his arm. You don't have to do this alone, she added, her voice sharp despite the tears flowing down her cheeks. We are here. I'm here. Deke stood still for a time. Then, slowly, he took her hand in his grip quivering. I didn't want you to see me like this, he murmured. Weak. You are not broken, Hope replied, her voice cracking. You are father. A good one. And Lily deserves to know that her father has people who care about him. About her. Deke shook his shoulders, and Hope saw him cry for the first time in years. It was a quiet, piercing sob that could only have come from a place of deep love and loss. She placed her arms around him and held him as he broke down, her tears seeping into his shirt. Liam watched, his wrath replaced by a deep melancholy. We'll figure this out, he muttered to himself rather than anyone else. We'll figure something out, Hope said, although she knew it wasn't that easy. Life was not like a Forrester Creations boardroom, where money and influence could solve everything. Sometimes, love wasn't enough. Sometimes the people you cared about the most slipped away, no matter how hard you tried. Over the next few weeks, Hope devoted herself into assisting Deke. She researched specialists, solicited favors, and even persuaded Ridge to organize a fundraiser through Forrester Creations to cover Lily's medical expenses. Deke initially protested, his pride a stubborn barrier, but Hope's persistence eventually wore him down. For Lily, she'd said, and that was sufficient. She met Lily a week after the reveal, in a sterile hospital room smelling of antiseptic and optimism. The little girl was petite for her age, her skin pale, and her eyes too large for her face, but her smile was like sunlight. Are you my daddy's friend? She inquired, her voice quiet but intrigued. Hope's throat clenched. Yeah, she answered with a smile. I am Hope. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lily. Lily held up a crayon painting of a family, her, Deke, and a woman with angel wings. That's my mom, she stated simply. She is in heaven, but she observes me. Daddy says so. Hope's heart broke even again. She looked at Deke, who was standing by the window, his back to them and his shoulders tense. Your daddy's right, she murmured, her voice hoarse. She's always with you. Lily's condition fluctuated. Some days, she was full of enthusiasm, talking about her favorite books and begging Deke to let her watch Frozen for the 100th time. Other days, she could hardly move her head because the treatments made her weak and sick. Hope paid frequent visits, bringing books and toys and sitting with Deke during Lily's long nights of sleep. They didn't say much, but the stillness was comfortable, reflecting a shared awareness that words couldn't change what was going on. Deke said something one night while they were sitting in the hospital cafeteria. I don't know how to thank you, he murmured, looking at his untouched coffee. You didn't have to do any of this. Yes, I did, Hope replied firmly. You are family, Deke. And so is Lily. He glanced at her, studying her gaze. Hope, you're too good. You've always been. She shook her head, a sorrowful smile tugging on her lips. I am not. I understand what it's like to lose someone, to feel helpless. I don't want you to go through it alone. Deke stretched across the table, brushing his fingers across hers. For a brief while, she feared he would say something else, disrupting the delicate balance between them. But he only squeezed her palm and let go, the moment gone as fast as it arrived. The end came faster than anyone anticipated. Lily's condition deteriorated swiftly, and the leukemia became too aggressive for even the greatest treatments to control. Hope was present when Deke received the doctor's call, and his face turned gray as he listened. She drove him to the hospital, her hands trembling behind the wheel and her heart screaming at the injustice of it all. Lily was awake when they arrived, her small hand holding Deke's as he sat next to her. Hope stood back to give them space, but Lily's gaze met hers. "Hope," she said softly, "would you read to me?" Hope nodded and swallowed the lump in her throat. She pulled up the Velveteen Rabbit, one of Lily's favorites, and began reading, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. Deke grasped Lily's hand, his head bowed and his shoulders shook. When Lily fell asleep, her breathing was shallow but comfortable. Deke glanced at Hope. "Thank you," he replied, his voice raw. "For everything."
Hope could not speak.
She merely nodded, her heart too full and broken. Lily died that night, surrounded by love, her small hand still clutching Deke's. Hope remained with him, holding him while he grieved, the weight of his anguish palpable. She didn't try to correct it because there was no fixing it. She simply remained, a gentle presence in the midst of his sorrow. In the months that followed, Deke retreated within himself. He returned to work at Forrester Creations, but he was a shell of the man he once was. Hope attempted to approach him, but he kept her at arm's length, his grief a barrier she couldn't break through. She knew that he needed time and space to grieve in his own way. But it stung knowing she couldn't help him as much as she wanted to. One day, she discovered a letter on her desk, written in Deke's meticulous handwriting. It was brief, just a few lines, but it conveyed everything. "Hope, you gave me something I never thought I'd have again. Hope. I'll never forget what you did for Lily and for me. I'm gone for a bit to discover who I am without her. But I will be back. And when I do, I hope you'll still be there." Deke Hope read the letter over and again, her tears soaking the page. She wasn't sure if he'd return, or if he'd ever be the same. But she knew one thing. She was going to wait. She was willing to wait as long as it took for Deke, the guy who had borne a secret so heavy that it nearly broke him. And in the quiet moments, when the world seemed too wide and too empty, she'd remember Lily, her grin, her courage, her light. A small girl who had changed everything in her short time here. A one-of-a-kind, heartbreaking narrative that Hope will remember for the rest of her life. "Deke, do you have a child?" Hope's words shattered like glass upon marble. For a brief period, the air within the small hut on the edge of Malibu Canyon came to a complete stop. Outside, the wind whistled through the eucalyptus trees, like if it were whispering secrets. Deke did not respond immediately. His hands trembled slightly, the calloused fingertips of a man who had lived too many lives to have one heart. He breathed after staring at the old, uneven floorboards. "Yes," he replied calmly. "I have a daughter." Hope blinked, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure if she was angry, disbelieving, or experiencing something quite different. Perhaps betrayal. Perhaps grief. For weeks, she had trusted him and defended him, even though everyone else, particularly Liam, had told her that Deke had shadows beneath his grin. She believed the worst he'd done was disappear years ago, without saying goodbye. She had not imagined this. The quiet between them was oppressive and crushing. "Why haven't you told me?" she muttered, her voice shaking. "We've gone through so much together. You've been in my house, around my son. How could you hide something like that?" Deke raised his eyes to meet hers, red-rimmed yet steady. "Because she's gone," he explained. The simplicity of the words slashed through her rage like a razor. "Gone," she repeated, struggling to speak. Deke nodded. Her name was Clara. She would have turned 8 this year. Hope closed her mouth, the weight of his revelation dragging her to the chair behind her. "I lost her," he added. "And then I lost myself. That is why I left. That is why I did not tell anyone. Because even saying her name made me feel like I was dying all over again." Hope had no idea what to say. The sorrow in his voice was raw, the type that never fades but lurks beneath the skin, waiting to be felt. For the first time, She recognized the man behind the guarded eyes and forced jokes, a father plagued by absence. "Whatever happened to her?" she asked softly. Deke turned to look out the window, where the quivering light spilled on the hills. "It was raining that day," he explained. "Clara enjoyed the rain. She claimed it made everything clean again. We were driving home from her piano lesson. She wanted to stop for ice cream, but I declined because we were running late. There was another vehicle on the roadway. The driver did not stop at the light." His breath caught. "I awoke in the hospital 3 days later. They told me she didn't make it." Hope's gut twisted. She carefully stood and crossed the room, staying close but not touching him. "Deke," she started, but her words felt little. He laughed cruelly. "Everyone claimed it was not my fault, but it was. I was driving. I was supposed to protect her." His voice trembled. "I couldn't even do that." Hope's eyes welled up with tears. "You can't blame yourself forever." "I already have," he informed me. "Every day since that night." His hands shook once more. "That is why I remained away. I didn't want anyone to see what was left of me. I didn't want you or anyone to know that I was just a man who ruined everything wonderful in his life." Just then, the door opened, and Liam's words echoed through the air. "Hope, what's going on here?" He paused in the doorway, his look altering from surprise to suspicion when he noticed Deke standing beside her. "I knew it," he responded, pointing his finger. "You swore you were done keeping secrets, Hope, but here you are again with him." Hope shifted rapidly. "Stop, Liam. It's not what you think, is it?" Liam snapped. His voice was elevated, and his fury was as piercing as glass. "I have been phoning you for hours. You vanish and show up here with Deke, the man you advised me not to worry about. Do you have an idea how this looks?" "Liam," she implored. "Not now." "No, now," he urged. "Do you think I can't see what's going on?" "You're defending him again." His tone softened somewhat as his gaze shifted to Deke. "What's the story this time, huh? What's your explanation for involving her in your mess?" Deke did not respond right away. His gaze remained fixed on the floor, and his shoulders stiffened. Hope turned to face Liam, rage boiling underneath her anguish. "You don't understand," she replied. "He just told me something huge." Liam's laugh was empty.
"What?"
"Has he changed? Is he sorry?" "I've heard it before." Hope raised her voice. "He lost a child, Liam." The words silenced the room. Liam's rage faded. He gazed at Deke again, but this time with confusion rather than hatred.
"What?"
he asked quietly. Deke eventually lifted his head. "That's true," he said. "My daughter is gone. That's the secret I've been keeping." Liam's expression softened briefly before hardening again. "So that's meant to make things better?" he remarked, his voice having lost some of its harshness. "You've been gone for years. You've broken people's hearts, and we're expected to feel sorry for you?" Hope made a sharp turn. "Liam," she said with angry tears in her eyes. "Stop it," Deke said, but he did not appear to be angry. He just looked exhausted, as if Liam's remarks were nothing compared to the ones he had been telling himself for years. "He's right," Deke muttered. "You do not owe me anything. Nobody does." He approached the door, but Hope stepped in front of him. "No," she replied softly. "You don't get to run again. Not from this. Not from the truth." Deke's jaw stiffened. "The truth does not change anything. It doesn't bring her back." "Maybe not," Hope responded, "but hiding from it won't offer you peace either." They stood silently for a long time. Liam moved uncomfortably near the door, torn between jealousy and guilt. The sound of the wind outside became louder, as if the entire world was listening. Finally, Deke spoke again. "Clara would sketch drawings of the stars. She claimed they were windows for angels. I used to tell her that one day we'd go to the desert and watch the sky until dawn. I never kept that promise." His voice broke. "I don't even know if she forgave me." Hope felt something inside her break. "She would have," she replied gently. Deke smiled sadly. "Because she loved you." "I wish I believed that." He turned to face Liam. "You love her," he replied simply. Liam blinked. "What?"
"Hope," Deke explained.
"You love her. Don't lose her the way I did everything." Liam gulped hard, looked at Hope and then back at Deke. Do you think I don't know that? Then stop fighting ghosts, Deke replied. She's still here.